What's good with it, YouTube? It's y'all's boy UCF Jaguar reporting with GenJag.com, and the NFL made 4 big rule changes this offseason. So in this video, I'm basically going to discuss those rule changes and give you guys my opinions on them. So let's get it. So the first big rule change that went on is that the overtime period has now been shortened from 15 minutes to 10 minutes. Now this may be a little bit annoying for fans just because we get 5 minutes less of intense overtime football, but this rule change really benefits the players and also television, because television, they lose a lot of, television and money is what this whole NFL thing is about, and they lose a lot of revenue from their later on shows when these games run in overtime. And also just with the players, it has them not on the field as much. I mean, these players are so beat up at the end of a 60-minute game. Just adding on overtime can kind of be a little intense for the players. The only thing that's a little questionable about this is that there's probably going to be more games that end in ties, which is kind of annoying. But I guess that's just a part of the game. And maybe the ties can make the standings a little more fun when we're looking at them and all of a sudden we're installing teams with different ties into the situation, but we'll see how much this really affects the standings at the end of the year. And the second big rule change is that the 75-man roster has officially been eliminated, and now there's going to be a 90-man roster basically all throughout preseason. Now in the past, they used to, after the third preseason game, they used to cut the rosters down to from 90 to 75, and then they'd have a lot less players playing in the very last preseason game. But this is a good rule change because the starters and players that are going to be contributing a lot, the coaches don't really want to play in the fourth preseason game just because they put them out in the third preseason game to get kind of their week one kind of feel and get their game planning into play, basically a first half and then a little bit into the third quarter. But now that this happened, you're reducing the risk of those third, fourth string guys that aren't going to make the roster, overplaying them in the last game, and even dipping into your key players like on a defensive line or stuff like that they really don't want out there playing but kind of have to out of necessity. And the next big rule change that went on, the third rule change, is that now they're becoming a little more lax on touchdown celebrations. I guess some of the things that they're allowing now are group celebrations, going to the ground, whatever the heck that means, and also basically using the football as a prop. So if you want to go out there and cradle like a baby or whatever like that, but you're not allowed to do anything like sexual or explicit. But honestly, this is a big loss on Roger Goodell's side because, he went in and forced all these strict rules, and all of a sudden he received backlash from the players and the fans being like, oh, it's like the no fun league anymore. And then now he just looks completely stupid being like, all right, guys, you can do a little more celebration stuff and, go out there and do some funny celebrations. I mean, I just think it makes him look so dumb. And I can't stand Roger Goodell, and most NFL fans can't either, but I just think it's kind of funny, and it's showing him showing a little bit of humility. Now, the fourth and final rule change is that now players that are placed on the injured reserve list, after 8 weeks, you're allowed to basically enable two players to come back from the injured reserve list. This was a change from last year because last year you were only allowed one change, and last year they elevated Chris Reed to the roster after he was out on the injured reserve for about 8 weeks. But this is, I guess this is a pretty good rule change. Now when you place a player on the injured reserve list, there's at least a little bit of hope that they can come back. You saw the Browns do it last year with RG3, and I think it's a pretty cool thing. So now player gets put on injured reserve, there's at least a little bit of a chance for him to come back. But yeah, guys, that was my video, just kind of talking about the NFL rule changes. Let me know what you guys think. But also, before I head out, Generation Jaguar posted a pretty good podcast today. They post weekly podcasts, and they actually hosted Jaguars beat reporter with First Coast News, Mike Kaye, on it. So that was really interesting. They were able to ask him a bunch of good questions. He, of course, has some insider knowledge because he's a member of the Jaguars media and whatnot. So I'm going to leave the link to that below, so definitely check that out. But yeah, guys, this is y'all's boy UCF Jaguar reporting with GenJag.com, and I'm out. Duval.
Thank you.